All right, welcome everybody. Back, back and forth whether or not I should even uh, cover this story, and I'm going to give. Like I said, I'm honest with everybody here on the program. I tell you how I feel about uh, certain issues, even if it's sometimes not politically oftentimes not politically correct, and oftentimes difficult to swallow. I've been saying it for years on my radio show. Not Mary Poppins. No spoonful of sugar to make the medicine go down. Jagged Little Pill, Alanis Morissette, go on down the list. Okay. Do I appreciate the 70-year history, Queen of England, what she's seen, the type of leadership that she has shown her people? I do. I do appreciate that. I appreciate different cultures from around the globe. I don't think that every area of the world is the same, needs to be the same. I think that there's differences everywhere. I talked about this before. Do I understand it? No. I don't understand why they still have it. No one's ever been able to explain it to me. They don't have any real power. Again, I reading yesterday all the Commonwealth countries and the people that are underneath the Commonwealth, and she is the head of state, was the head of state. I never seem to understand it. Appreciate it, yes. It's not my thing. It's not my thing. It's their thing. It's their thing. And again, I think that it's great that the people there can rally around this. I guess it gives them a sense of their long history, whatever it may be. I'm not a Brit. Okay, I don't get it. I never understood, and I always made fun of it here on the program, the wall-to-wall coverage here in the United States of the royal wedding. Again, Brits, they're not the only royal family in the entire world, Yeah, they're still all over Europe. The old royal families and all of these countries don't have any power. They hold on to a little bit of real estate here or there. But again, for whatever reason it may be, and going back to Diana and Charles the first time, all the attention that was paid to that, and then right on down, with William and what's his wife? I'll it'll come to me again. I don't pay attention to this stuff. And then they get to the tabloid too. There, you had Harry and Meghan Markle there. Obviously, they're in the news all the time. Why? I mean, that was the latest big royal wedding. That was wall to wall coverage all weekend on Fox. Why? Why? I don't get it. I don't understand why it's important to us here. We did have a war to break away from them, and then the War 1812 went to war with them again. And I understand we have a strong relationship with the country. But come on. I never got it. And I've given it thought. And again, I'm a big believer. That many people, and I've talked about this when I go on my 4th of July rant. Many people, they have no desire to be free. Being a free person, being responsible is work. There's a lot of work that's involved with it. Kind of go off the beaten track here. I don't know if you remember, this was during the Obama versus Romney. There was a clip of a woman. It was a clip of a woman saying she's going to vote for Obama because Obama gives her stuff, gives her Obama phone. I want my Obama phone. You go prior to that, Peggy Joseph, I remember the name, being interviewed at a rally. This was actually in Sarasota, Florida. And her exclaiming, she was at an Obama rally. That was the greatest moment in her entire life, because she said, if I support him, I'm not going to have to worry about my rent and my electric bills, my car bills. If I support him, he's going to take care of me. That's, quite frankly, people, whether you want to believe it or not, that's what a lot of people want. Okay, this is the 10,000-pound gorilla in the room that we all know is there. We all know is there, and we really don't do much about it. We have a large swath of the population would be happy to be in government supported housing. If they had their internet and they had their television, their Netflix, and their streaming stuff, there's a large swath that would have no problem at all not working. Now, deep down inside, it's sad, and I do believe that they're miserable people because they're not overcoming any obstacles and achieving goals. But many people don't want to be bothered. I remember walking through, it was some left-wing rally in New York City, and an argument taking place about dictators and some of these. I think it had to do with Hugo Chavez back in the day. And this woman's like, well, dictators are fine. If they provide health care and they do this and they do that. I'm like, this is the United States. This is the United States. We've gotten, quite frankly, fat and happy in many different ways. It's different, very, very different country from when it was founded. And let's, be honest, you go back to that point in time, most people that didn't want to break away from the UK. They're large swath of the population wanted no part of that at all. But anyway, that's in my opinion, that's what I think the attachment is. I think that there's just such a large swath of our population that they would rather be told what they would rather live under a king and a queen or a dictator. If there was an option, and I believe this, if there was an option to make Barack Obama king, that people would have done it. It would have happened. I have no doubt about that in my mind. Yeah, they would have been king. Let Obama tell us what to do. We don't have to be responsible for anything. We just follow orders. We do what we want to do. And I've said this again. You're not a responsible person in life until you take ownership in everything. That conversation. My daughter's going to be turning 18 years old very, very shortly. And she's got a very strong personality, to say the least. And, some of the remarks that she makes about being an adult, you're not an adult. Okay. You're not an adult. You're not even close to being an adult. I pay for you. You live underneath my roof. You are reliant upon me. That's not being an adult because you're 18 years old. That makes you an adult. No. And again, this goes to some of the points that I've made in the past talking about voting here in this country. And in my belief that if you're getting assistance from your fellow citizens, if you're living off of government assistance, if your fellow taxpayers, your fellow citizens, your comrades here in the United States are paying your way, paying your freight, you shouldn't have a say in how the country is run. Now, again, you get off of all of that. Well, that's a different story. Oh my God, it's terrible. No, it's not. It just makes sense. But yeah, I appreciate the history of, what has transpired and everything. I mean, it's been some really interesting articles that I've, that I've read over the past couple days, talking about, everything that the Queen has seen, all the presidents that she has seen, all the prime ministers. Basically, she was there towards the end of the dismantling of the entire British Empire. And, amazing transformation over that period of time. And it is fascinating. And, and I get it. There was that television show that's popular. I haven't seen it yet. The Crown kind of, traces this whole thing. It's a historical piece. I haven't watched it, but I hear it's pretty good. But every paper, every news station, everything here wall-to-wall coverage of this. Let me ask you a question. If now it would be different, obviously, to be wall-to-wall coverage if a head of state, what president of the United States, God forbid, is assassinated. There'd be wall-to-wall coverage. But do you think that they paid attention to when Reagan died? I'm sure a little bit they would have covered it in relationship with Margaret Thatcher and all that. But for whatever reason, we treat, the media here treats this like it's ours. It's not ours, it's theirs. It's theirs. And you want to live under that system, move there. I mean, that's what I got to say. And if you think about it, people, it's a big world. Okay, so the world is small. It's a pretty big place. It is, and it's one of the things I just fail to understand. If you want to go live in a socialist state, move there. Move there. There's a lot of places now all over the globe that have these golden visas. All you need to do is buy a piece of property, $250,000, and you can get residency. Yeah, you can do it. There's plenty of places that you can go to. I think it would be great if we had these myriad of systems compete against one another, don't you? You see, that'll never happen. I made this suggestion before. I said, this is part of the problem. I get in arguments with people. I don't mind immigration into this country. I don't. I have no problem with it. It's not orderly. I think we got to get the entire thing fixed, and it needs to be orderly, and we have to assimilate people, and there has to be a system we're doing. We're not doing that right now. But I'm here to be honest here. The people that are coming in, they want to work, most of them. And if you don't want to work, you just make it simple. You can't live off any government assistance while you're becoming a part, or you're trying to become an American citizen, which should take a significant period of time. Like I said, I can invest money and, a country somewhere, and I can get residency. That doesn't give me citizenship in that country. That's an entirely different process and much longer. It was funny when I lived in Florida. There was a lot of expats from the UK in our neighborhood, and there was some rule that if you invested or bought a business in the United States, you could get whatever green card paperwork to operate here. Why not? As a country, like, sure, come on in. You're going to invest in a business. You're going to do fine. But they had to go back. They didn't get citizenship. They had to go back. They would go to they go to Bermuda. They go to Bermuda and, I don't know, get their visa or passport stamp. I don't know exactly how the thing worked. But you think about it, all of you people out here that hate it so much, that are pushing this left wing, this socialist agenda, why not go there? Why not go to some of these places? Why not? Again, competition breeds excellence. The funny thing is this the whole Keynesian way of thinking, socialist way of thinking, big government way of thinking, it would never be able to compete. And again, this is one of the great things about the founding of this country. We screwed it up with the 10th Amendment. We've given the 10th Amendment the Heisman, where states are supposed to compete against one another. I think it was Thomas Jefferson talked about each state being a laboratory for different ideas and trying things out. Correct me, wasn't it? Was it under Mitt Romney when he was governor of Massachusetts? They tried universal health care. Then it was a disaster. You try things out in these certain states. I said, I don't live in California. California wants to do these crazy things. Fine. You're seeing what's happened right now. New York is a laboratory right now for why you don't do stupid bail reform and you let criminals go. Just take a look at what's going on in New York. I get people emailing me, texting me all the time about DeSantis down in Florida, whether or not he's going to run for president. And I'm like, no. I said, this is where the Republican Party or conservatives, I hate using the Republican Party. I'm not a member of the Republican Party, but they kind of represent the conservative side, whatever it may be. You want strong leaderships within your community and within your state. That's what you should be looking for within your state. And I wouldn't. I mean, again, Florida is a bastion. It's everything's going right there. You want to keep that going in that direction. Yeah, that's what the liberals did in California. Again, I remind everybody, Ronald Reagan used to be governor of that state. That'll never. I don't see that changing. I mean, they really got to hit rock bottom. It really has to get bad. Yeah, I know Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor, came in there for a period of time. I don't see the way that they've gerrymandered. It's not going to happen. You see some of the far left stuff that they're going to pass, and I'd say, okay, I talk about it here on the program, but I'm saying let them have at it. Let them have at it. I mean, let them do all of these stupid things. Maybe other places around the country, we will watch and learn at what not to do. You know, you're taking a look right now, and I can talk about this, and we have been talking about this in terms of energy, and in particular, what's going on in Europe right now. Today, the European leadership met, and they failed. Thank God, but it was just stupid. They failed to agree on gas price caps. I got to read to you some of this. There was an emergency meeting of EU energy ministers meant to reassure both energy companies and the European public regarding soaring prices. Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó pointed out the blowback would be worse than the sting aimed at Russia. If price restrictions were to be imposed exclusively on Russian gas, that would evidently lead to an immediate cutoff in Russian gas supplies. It does not take a Nobel Prize to recognize that. And then you had other leaders from around Europe that actually get it, echo the same thing. You've got pushback from Poland. You've got pushback from Italy. You've got pushback from Hungary, the Czech Republic, Greece. Like, what the hell are you guys thinking? And they're right. They're all meeting here to do this. And it's kind of like, you know, a meeting of these elites that are in essence arsonists. And you're asking the people, the arsonists, about, you know, putting fires out that they bloody started. It's on them. They should all be thrown out, for crying out loud. It's amazing. It's a thing about government. You get entrenched in government. Yeah, you might get voted out of a position, but they just move you somewhere else in the bureaucracy where you continue to screw crap up. Again, I understand my own personal processor speed and limitations, okay? And a true sign of intelligence is that you don't know what you don't know. But I'm sorry, when I watch these people speak, when I watch these fools, whether they be leadership here in the United States or whether they be leadership in various different places around Europe, and I'm like, gee, these people are stupid. Boy, there's a hell of a lot of ignorant fools that are in charge. Was it a funny meme I saw the other day? It was almost like a Far Side. Remember Gary Larson from the Far Side? It was almost like a Far Side meme. It was something like talking about human beings. There were animals, and it had something to do with animals and herding, and how human beings are the only people that allow the dumbest of the herd to lead us. And it's true. It is. Another interesting article I was reading, guy by the name of, I've talked about him before in the program in the past. Patrick Moore was one of the founders of Greenpeace. I think he founded Greenpeace, but it was like 1970, 1971. He left the organization, if I'm not mistaken, in 1986. Yeah, 1986. Yeah, 1971 it was founded. And he goes through in this column talking about, you know, one of the reasons why he left is because he came to the realization that Greenpeace was just hijacked by the left. He said once the left realized there was money and power in the environmental movement, political activists in North America and Europe changed Greenpeace from a science-based organization into a political fundraising organization. And, it's funny, I thought about it and I said, kind of like, and obviously it didn't have the type of global reach, kind of reminded me of the Tea Party when that thing got started up. That thing was as pure as the wind-driven snow for a very short period of time until people that, started up in the Tea Party industry or then became Tea Party business realized that they can make money off this thing. I was off like a prom dress. Okay. Done. Speaking at some of the early Tea Party, of the first rallies that they had there, it didn't take long before, again, politicians got into it, moneyed interests got into it, and again, it got destroyed. But in this column, talks about all of these things, and that science is taken out of the equation, and false narratives, and this constant idea to keep pitching that the world is going to end, all this stuff. One of the false narratives on polar bears, the goal of environmental apocalypse theory. And then he talks about the demonization of carbon dioxide. And I laughed about this because I'd always go back to my 6th grade science days and talk about photosynthesis and C6H12O6 in the process of light and chlorophyll and all this stuff. And it's funny, I actually was kind of proud, talking about, CO2 and global warming, and having my kids come home and ask me about this. Dad, I don't get it. If CO2 is bad for the environment, how is it bad for the environment if that's what plants breathe? And I'm like, good job, guys. Okay. Critical thinking. Okay. At least they got my wife's looks, but they most certainly inherited my critical thinking. Anyway. Moving on, Jeffrey Gundlach, who is the CEO of Double Line, and he's a bit of a bond wizard that I do pay attention to. I have this very short list of people that I have a great deal of respect for, and I pay attention to what they say. I may not always agree with them, but I'm most certainly going to take and listen to their opinions because they're well thought out. Anyway, he's got a similar take. He's concerned right now that the Federal Reserve is in overreach mode, and they may be going too far. And that's what we've been talking about. And I talked about the limitations that the Fed has, and he's saying the exact same thing. You get more people saying, what if it doesn't work? What if raising rates doesn't work? Then what? And quite frankly, I don't think it is going to work. I think it's going to take a longer period of time to bring inflation down. But that doesn't mean I think the Fed's going to keep raising and raising and raising. I don't. I think, again, we've talked about the cure for higher prices being higher prices. And there's still a ways to go. Again, I'm buying out. I got a lease on one of our vehicles. I'm buying it out. It's done in December. I'm buying a car out. This 3 years. 3 years. 3 years ago, bought the car. If I wanted to get the same exact model car, obviously they make some changes to it and make it a little bit better. Not that much. It's really the difference between going from an iPhone 13 to an iPhone 14. It's a little bit better, but is it $40,000 better? No. Again, there's still a lot. There's a major disconnect in certain areas. Obviously, used car prices are starting to come down to some degree, but there's the Fed's not going to solve the European energy crisis. Fed can't drill. Feds, that's not what they do. It's not what they do. Yeah. We were talking about, obviously started the program today, talking about royalty in the UK and, Queen and now King Charles didn't have any power. Head of state that has no power. And I thought about that and I said, it's kind of like Jay Powell. kind of like Jay Powell. I know they get together on rates, but does he really have that much power? I know they talk about the political independence. That's not true. It really isn't true. They're whatever. They're either a donkey or an elephant based upon who's in the White House. And you want to take a look at all these Fed governors. They're the House of Lords. Look at it that way. Look at it that way. Our federal government passes a spending package, goes out and spends and spends and spends and spends and spends. They've got to raise the debt ceiling and borrow more money. If there's no market for the bonds, who buys them? Fed does. Essentially printing money. Anyway. There was a television show. I was back in the early 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Ashton Kutcher. I never watched the show, but I was aware of the show. It was called Punked. It's called Punked, where it was basically a practical joke show. You got punked. Well, you got to rehash the show, except it's going to be led by Nancy Pelosi, because Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats in the House just punked Joe Manchin. That's right. More than 70 House Democrats joined, Manchin. Oh, well, you got to have permitting reform if I'm going to sign on to this Inflation Reduction Act. The Democrats in the House are like, nah. Now, Joe, see this? Shall I turn it up? Breakfast Club reference right there. Bender. Yeah. They basically gave Manchin the finger. So yeah, his permitting reform. Are you surprised? And again, I don't even know. Maybe he didn't get punked. Maybe he was in on the whole thing and he just needed to. Who knows? These people are so full of shit. Okay. I mean, lying it comes natural to them. It's a constant flow out of their mouths. Do I believe that Joe Manchin didn't think that this was coming? Yeah. I don't know. Again, they constantly lie to us all the time. Anyway, I like this. The Heritage Foundation, they put out various different indices over the course of the year talking about best places to do business, countries that are most free, countries where it's best to do business. They now are putting out a ranking of educational freedom among the states. And the report card finds that Florida, Arizona, Idaho, and Indiana are America's most parent-friendly jurisdictions across a number of measurements. Parents are rightly upset when schools indoctrinate their kids with woke racial and gender ideologies that do not reflect their values and contradict the ideals that make our republic great. School lockdowns contributed to greater mental health problems among students and forced masking disrupted learning. Parents are fed up with these oppressive and divisive policies coupled with lower achievement. The pandemic made it abundantly clear that families need more education options than our rigid district school systems offer or education elitists allow. And I've talked about this for a long time. I'm proud dad moment. Here we go. Okay. I'm telling you right now, proud dad moment right now. I got first football game of the season. Harbor Field's Tornadoes. Got a game tomorrow. My son's a running back and middle linebacker on the football team. And can't wait to watch him play. And it's amazing how we compete. Various different schools will compete against one another on the playing field. They compete against one another, and they even compete against one another sometimes when it comes to science fairs, debate clubs. I don't even know if they do debate clubs anymore. I did a little bit of that when I was in high school. But anyway, wouldn't it be great if the actual schools could compete for students? Now, each school district allocates a certain amount of money per kid, right? Imagine if principals had the authority to go out and hire on their own, didn't have to deal with the teachers unions, had to assemble how to assemble the best educators possible. Schools competing against one another for students. New York City has well, they're getting rid of the system. They're a great system they had in New York City for some of the kids that tested into some of the elite schools, but they're wrecking that at this point in time. But what if the money followed your child? And if you were in an area, for example, if you're in an area and you're a parent that gives a crap, because not all parents give a crap. That's always been the key, okay? It's always been the key. I'm going to be honest with you. I flipped out. My son comes home. They just started school, and he's in his math class, and he's like, the teacher is just showing us videos every day, and we have to watch videos of this thing. And I'm like, what the? And I got pissed. I'm like, what the hell's a teacher? I mean, the teacher's supposed to be teaching. Yeah, I called up, and I guess I wasn't the only one. Of course not. Parents are complaining. What the hell is this shit? Kids are watching videos and for math, and that's gone now. Why? Because I give shit. Now, other parents, other places, it might not be the case. Why is our school district rated so highly academic? Why do so many kids go on to all these great schools? Why is it ranked that way and the colleges look at it? Why? Well, because the parents here care. Now, there are parents that give a damn, that care a lot. And they, you know what? They might be in areas where the school districts don't have that reputation. Now, I understand that the charter schools going to certain areas can send your kids there. But what if you were to say, hey, you know what? I want to send my kids somewhere else. I want to send them to this school. And that money could follow the kid there. Or not a private school, Catholic school. Doesn't make any difference. You know what they spend? They spend per kid in Washington, D.C., New York City, and some of these major metropolitan areas. It's more than some of their top prep schools charge, for crying out loud. Does that make any sense? Nope. Yes, educational freedom, money following the child, step in the right direction. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. I'm sure many football fans out there getting all excited for the weekend's games. My best friend, and he's in charge of accounting for Markowski Investments and our clients. He's got Jets season tickets, and I always go to the opening game. So yeah, I'm going to be out at I hope. I'm a Giants fan, but I go to Jets games because got season tickets. I'm hoping that I don't have to leave by, the middle of the second quarter because it's that much of a blowout. Sorry, Jets fans. Doesn't look good. Anyway, have a good one. Watchdogonwallstreet.com. But I shouldn't say anything because my Giants don't look too great either. Have a great weekend and go Harborfield Tornadoes. We'll see you.